0 Grand Slams, not even a WTA title. Yet somehow, Eala just got crowned the most famous player in women's tennis, and the internet is absolutely losing it. Ana Ivanovic called her the future. Sam Querrey compared her to a young Federer. And Novak Djokovic? He said something that made every tennis analyst drop their clipboard. Stick around, because what happened next turned tennis Twitter into an absolute war zone, and the comparisons they are making will blow your mind. Quick favor, if you are loving this content, hit that subscribe button. Over 95% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs nothing, but means everything to us. Already subscribed? Awesome. Thank you so much. Now back to the main event. Picture this. A 19-year-old from the Philippines who has never won a WTA singles title, never reached a Grand Slam quarterfinal, and is currently ranked outside the top 100. Now imagine tennis experts worldwide calling her the biggest star in women's tennis right now. Not Iga Swiatek with her 4 French Opens, not Coco Gauff with her US Open trophy, not even Aryna Sabalenka with back-to-back Australian Open titles. Eala. And before you think this is some kind of joke, wait until you hear who is backing this claim. Ana Ivanovic, former world #1 and French Open champion, went on record saying Eala has something special that transcends rankings. She does not just play tennis, she represents hope for an entire region. That is not hype, that is reality. When Sam Querrey, the American who took down Novak Djokovic at Wimbledon, starts drawing parallels between Eala and a young Roger Federer, you know something seismic is happening. And then came the mic drop moment. Novak Djokovic himself, 24-time Grand Slam champion, said watching Eala play reminds him why he fell in love with tennis in the first place. Let that sink in for a second. The greatest player in history is fanboying over someone who hasn't even cracked the top 50 yet. But here's where it gets really interesting. The WTA didn't just crown her the most famous player based on vibes. They looked at the numbers. And folks, the numbers tell a story that makes absolutely no sense unless you understand what is actually happening here. Eala's matches are drawing crowds that rival top 10 players. Her social media engagement crushes players ranked 60 spots above her. When she played a qualifying match in Melbourne, the viewership in the Philippines hit numbers usually reserved for Grand Slam finals. Not the main draw, not even the first round, a qualifying match. If that does not scream phenomenon, I don't know what does. The comparisons to Manny Pacquiao started flying almost immediately, and honestly, they're not wrong. Pacquiao was not just a boxer, he was a movement. Every time he fought, an entire nation stopped. Crime rates dropped during his matches because literally everyone was watching. Streets emptied, businesses closed. The Philippines became a ghost town for 3 hours every time Pac-Man stepped into the ring. And now tennis analysts are saying Eala is doing the same thing for tennis. When she plays, the Philippines watches. All 115 million people suddenly care about a sport that barely registered in their country a decade ago. But not everyone is buying it. Twitter erupted faster than you can say double fault. One user posted, "Most famous player? She hasn't won anything. This is participation trophy culture gone mad." Another chimed in, "So we're just handing out titles for potential now? What is next? Most famous player who might win something someday?" The tennis purists were clutching their pearls so hard you could hear it from across the Pacific. Meanwhile, her fans fired back with receipts. They posted her attendance numbers. They showed her merchandise sellings outselling players ranked in the top 20. They highlighted endorsement deals that would make established stars jealous. One fan tweeted, "Y'all mad because a humble kid from Southeast Asia is getting recognition without needing a Grand Slam to prove her worth. The racism is showing." Oof, that hit different. Here's what the critics are missing, though. Fame in sports is not just about trophies, never has been. Anna Kournikova never won a Grand Slam singles title, yet she was one of the most famous tennis players of her generation. Why? Because fame is about connection, marketability, and cultural impact. And Eala is connecting with people in ways that stat sheets cannot measure. When she speaks, she does it in 3 languages. When she wins, she celebrates with her team like they just cured a disease. When she loses, she signs autographs for 2 hours because she knows those kids traveled 6 hours just to see her. That's not a PR strategy. That's just who she is. Sam Querrey broke it down on a podcast, and his explanation actually makes perfect sense. He said, "Look, when I was coming up, we all knew who the stars were. They had the Grand Slams, the ranking points, the whole package. But Eala is different. She's famous because she represents possibility. Every kid in the Philippines sees her and thinks, if she can do it, maybe I can too. That's bigger than any trophy." And when you look at it that way, the WTA's decision suddenly doesn't seem so crazy. They're not just recognizing what she's done, they're acknowledging what she represents. But then Novak Djokovic weighed in, and things got even more intense. During a press conference in Dubai, a reporter asked him about rising stars to watch, expecting him to mention some top 20 player grinding through the rankings. Instead, Djokovic paused, smiled that mischievous smile we've all seen 1,000 times, and said, "You want to know who I'm watching? Eala. That girl plays with a joy that reminds me why I started playing tennis in the first place. No fear, just pure love for the game." Let that sink in for a second. The greatest player in history is fanboying over someone who hasn't even cracked the top 50 yet. But here's where it gets really interesting. The WTA didn't just crown her the most famous player based on vibes. They looked at the numbers. And folks, the numbers tell a story that makes absolutely no sense unless you understand what is actually happening here. Eala's matches are drawing crowds that rival top 10 players. Her social media engagement crushes players ranked 60 spots above her. When she played a qualifying match in Melbourne, the viewership in the Philippines hit numbers usually reserved for Grand Slam finals. Not the main draw, not even the first round, a qualifying match. If that does not scream phenomenon, I don't know what does. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the criticism that she does not deserve this recognition without the results. It is a fair point on the surface. Tennis has always been a meritocracy. You win, you climb. You lose, you fall. But here is what that argument misses. The WTA did not name her the best player. They named her the most famous. And there is a massive difference. Famous means people know who you are. Famous means cameras follow you. Famous means when you walk into a room, heads turn. And by every metric that matters, Alex Eala is the most famous player in women's tennis right now, whether the purists like it or not. Think about it this way. When Coco Gauff plays, American tennis fans watch. When Iga Świątek plays, Polish fans tune in. When Aryna Sabalenka plays, Belarus pays attention. But when Alex Eala plays, an entire region of the world stops. Southeast Asia, a market of over 600 million people, suddenly cares about women's tennis. Sponsors are pouring money into tournaments in Manila, Bangkok, Jakarta, cities that barely had professional tennis events 5 years ago. That is not just fame, that is market transformation. The comparisons to Manny Pacquiao keep coming up, and honestly, they are spot on. Pacquiao was not just a boxer, he was a bridge between cultures, a symbol of perseverance, a living embodiment of the underdog story. And that is exactly what Eala represents for tennis. She is not the richest kid on tour. She did not grow up at some fancy academy in Florida. She grinded through the ranks, faced rejection, dealt with injuries, and kept showing up. That story resonates because it is real. Sam Querrey put it perfectly when he said, "Tennis has always struggled to break into new markets. We have tried everything, exhibition matches, big prize money, flashy tournaments, but sometimes all it takes is one person, one authentic story that people can connect with. Eala is that story." And he's right. The WTA has spent millions trying to grow the sport in Asia. Alex Eala did it by just being herself. Now, let's address the skeptics who think this fame will not last. They argue that once the novelty wears off, once she loses a few big matches, the hype will die down. But here is what they are missing.
Eala's fame is not built on winning, it's built on authenticity. When she wins, she celebrates like it is the greatest moment of her life. When she loses, she cries, picks herself up, and thanks the fans for coming. There's no PR script, no carefully crafted image, just a kid who loves tennis and happens to be really, really good at it. And the humility factor cannot be overstated. In an era where athletes are brands before they are people, Eala stands out because she doesn't act like a brand. She acts like a human. After a tough loss in Miami, she spent 90 minutes signing autographs and taking photos with fans. 90 minutes! Most players would have been on a plane home within an hour, but not Eala, because she gets it. She understands that those fans did not just come to watch tennis, they came to see her, to connect with her, to feel like their dreams are possible too. The question now is not whether Alex Eala deserves to be called the most famous player in women's tennis right now. The numbers, the crowds, the endorsements, they all confirm it. The real question is what happens next. Can she handle the pressure? Can she turn potential into championships? Can she become the player everyone believes she can be? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The tennis world is watching. And whether you love the hype or hate it, you cannot ignore it. So here we are. A teenager from the Philippines with 0 Grand Slam titles just got crowned the most famous player in women's tennis, and the sport will never be the same. Ana Ivanovic sees a future champion. Sam Querrey sees the next evolution of the game. Novak Djokovic sees pure joy, and millions of fans around the world see hope. Maybe that's what fame really is. Not trophies or rankings, but the ability to make people believe in something bigger than themselves. Alex Eala is doing that every single day. And honestly, that might be worth more than any Grand Slam title ever could be. Stay tuned, folks, because if there's one thing we know for sure, this story is just getting started.